On this episode of Still Loading, the great adventures of 5 young heroes from the light dimension now begin. Hey guys, it's Josh, and welcome to the newest episode of Still Loading. On this week's episode, I am talking about Flying Warriors for the NES. This is one of those other games for the 30 for 30 series, which I have never played. It was pretty interesting, to say the least. The game is pretty much a mash-em-up of styles, and there is some beat-em-up stuff in it, so let's kind of go through that, right? So it's got beat-em-up, it's got RPGs, it's got elements from beat-em-ups, RPGs, and fighting games, all kind of mixed together. Overall, surprisingly fun. I really did enjoy it. As always, let's start with the box art. A bunch of Captain Falcon wannabes. That's pretty much all it looks like. They kind of look like Power Rangers to me, but not quite. They all have these interesting masks on, kind of Captain Falcon has like all white eyes and everything, different colors and for different characters and everything. It literally looks like a ton of Power Rangers combined with Judge Dredd and Captain Falcon. That's honestly the best thing I can use to describe it. They're all in heroic poses in the sky, and that's honestly all there is to the box art. The storyline, though, is a little interesting. The storyline is, a long time ago, demonics of the dark dimension attempted to invade the light dimension. Attempted to invade light dimension. There's no just attempt to invade light dimension. After a long battle, the hero of the light dimension, Dragonlord, sealed demonics up by the power of the Mandara talisman and defeated the dark dimension. He defeated an entire dimension. Let that sink in. However, demonics left the ominous prophecy, "I will be back when the red evil star appears." I don't know how... I guess ominous is a better one. For some reason, I just thought mysterious. I'm like, he puts it right on Front Street. But no, ominous, makes a little bit more sense. Anyway, Dragonlord sent 5 flying warriors to the ground to prepare for the day of Demonics' return. Now, the red evil star appeared, and the soldiers of the Dark Dimension broke the seal which allowed Demonics to return. The battle between Dark Dimension and the Flying Warriors is about to begin. So you play as one of the Flying Warriors, obviously, but yeah, well, kind of all of them. It's an interesting, gameplay. It's an interesting game, right? So the game pretty much it's like this. It's a side-scrolling adventure kind of platformer for the first chunk of the game. Whenever you fight significant bosses, then you actually have fighting game mechanics where you have to it makes it a little bit easier, unfortunately, but it's basically like it tells you what buttons you need to hit. It tells you when your enemy is going to attack high or attack low, or where they're not blocking, so you can attack high or attack low. So in that aspect, it's a little simplistic, but the early boss stages, they give you a lot of time to react, and towards the end, it has to be instinctive. And I'm honestly surprised the depth there is in this game of what you can do. So not only is the stages, like I said, they're all beat-em-up platformers, more on the beat-em-up side, but the boss fights are fighting games, and like I said before, kind of simplified. And what's interesting is, even though it combines both of those, the RPG parts come in a little bit later on. I couldn't get very far in the game because I won't lie, it's pretty freaking difficult. But of the playthrough I watched, you could actually, there was these weird Final Fantasy-esque elements where you would actually play as all the different members of the flying warriors, and they would just choose that. You would choose their moves very similarly to a Final Fantasy game. you play as the warrior Rick Stalker for all, at least from what I could see, all of the side-scrolling levels. I won't lie, it was like a long freaking playthrough. It was an hour and a half long, and I didn't really have the time to sit down and watch all hour and a half of it, but I did skip around and see what there was. And it's really, like, honestly, the game's really interesting. I kind of want to go back and, like, seriously give it a try. Further than, like, you know, the 20-30 minutes I play for each one of these, like, you know, quick review type of things. And the controls were pretty good. A little I don't want to say floaty, but a little off at times. Like, it definitely had some issues with the fighting game mechanics and with because it just felt like you would hit the button and be a little bit later. So I guess it is a little bit floaty. Like, you would hit it and then the reaction was a little bit delayed for what you would like. But it was very intuitive and easy to pick up. My only real gripe with it is that A is jump, which is awesome. That's not the gripe part, but pressing up on the D-pad is also jump. So it kind of makes this weird thing. Like, I don't know why they needed 2 buttons for jump. But it's kind of weird like that. But like I said, though, the controls actually, the gameplay itself is really deep. So along with those controls, it gives you, despite only having, like, you know, the A and B buttons and then the D-pad and then, you know, start and select, there's a lot of variety of the moves you can do. It's really responsive in terms of, like, if you hit up and if you punch and hit up, then you actually angle your attack up. And on the NES, you know, that was like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't see, at least compared to Double Dragon, there's not a lot of games that are that detailed with their attack options. And you have a health bar, and you also have what's called a KO meter. And essentially the KO meter is the more enemies you KO, the more power you get. And so the more enemies you kill, the more powerful your attacks will become. The more the KO meter fills up, the more likely you are to KO an enemy. When it gets maxed out, you actually shoot, like, energy balls out of your kicks. It's really cool. It rewards the player for not getting hit, because once you do get hit, that's when you lose that KO count and you can't kick energy balls. Very similar to kind of Legend of Zelda, but instead of Legend of Zelda where it's you're reliant on getting hearts to get your sword beam back, it's just any enemy you kill can build your KO bar back up, or your KO tally, if that makes sense. Really, really cool mechanic. And the game just, I don't know how to describe the music. I almost forgot. The music is amazing. I'll probably put a little bit in right here. So yeah, the music's pretty freaking awesome. Overall, the game is really, really good. It's kind of almost a hidden gem, I would say, for the NES. I've never heard of it before. I opened it up and tried it out. But just to put it in perspective, at least like I said, like, it's pretty, like, the gameplay and the mechanic system is pretty deep, especially for an NES game. You have defense upper, middle, and lower. You have punch upper, punch middle, kick upper, kick middle. You have cyclone kick and rolling kick. Upper kick, middle kick, and lower kick. For supreme skills, you have cyclone kick, rolling kick, and spinning ground kick. In special moves, you have trick throw, squat, and jump, which I don't know why those are considered special moves, but they are. Other special skills, you can shake yourself whenever, and that's alternating back between left and right on the D-pad. For whenever enemies are grabbing you, you can Ryunoken, which is up with A and B while your KO gauge is filled. So you can do some really crazy good moves. And then you have the Cosmic Saucer, which is when your KO gauge is filled up, then you just hit up with B and it does a special move. There's a lot of really, and that's just That's on the master mode. Oh, and then so they have two different difficulties. Sorry, master operation lets you do all of that. You have all those abilities. If you do standard operation, which is more for just basics, you just have defense, kick, and punch. So essentially, when an enemy's attacking you, you just have to hit right to block correctly. If you're attacking the enemy, you just have to kick or punch whichever way you want to. When you're in master mode, then you actually have to differentiate, block high, block low, punch high, punch low. So it's kind of cool that there's two different modes to actually let more experienced players and more experienced players play a more challenging mode, and less experienced players like myself. And I also suck at fighting games, so that was perfect for me to get a little bit more not challenge. Well, yeah, more experienced players to get more challenge, and less experienced players to actually enjoy the game. And while I did suck at it, I did enjoy it, and I would probably go back and play it again. As the standard operation of battle mode, you only get regular, just one type of defense, one kick, and one punch. None of these extras. You get all the supreme skills, you get all the special moves, you get all the special skills, but now you don't have to worry about blocking high or kicking high or punching low, or kicking low, that kind of thing. And when you and then what you can do is that when you're fighting bosses, you can transform into a flying warrior. So when you are on the ground, you're not transformed into a flying warrior. For bosses, you can, and you get your Captain Falcon suit or whatever, and you fight the boss like that. And then after your allies join you, so you play as Rick for the first portion of the game, and after your allies join you, the playthrough I watched didn't have everything, you can play as any one of the flying warriors. So it's kind of cool, and there's 5 of them. It looks like a short one. It looks kind of like Robin the Boy Wonder almost. The main guy, I guess that's Rick. Then there's a really beefy looking dude. For those who watch Full Metal Alchemist, he kind of reminds me of Armstrong, but not bald, with the one blonde curly Q. Then there's a chick who the artist weirdly rendered her breasts. It's really disturbing. I don't know how to describe it. It just looks like 2 bowling balls that he superimposed over top of her corset. It's strange, her leotard or whatever the hell she's wearing. But yeah, overall, I definitely suggest this game. Give it a shot. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say it's a classic or timeless, but it held up better than I thought. The graphics are really good, and the music's pretty fantastic, and I really enjoyed kind of like the goofiness of it, I guess. It plays really seriously, but it's clearly like an homage to superheroes or Power Rangers or something like that. So anyway, definitely suggest giving it a play. If you guys like it, let me know. I think that about wraps it up for this week of Still Loading. As usual, please rate, review, and subscribe. I'm always looking for feedback. And please follow me on social media at StillLoadingPod, which is you can at StillLoadingPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and I will see you all next time.
Bye.